Hello, my name is Marsha Johnson, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Together with my grandnieces and nephew, Allie, Ashley, and Ryan, we are Marsha's Crafts. Today we're going to make this very vintage friendship card. It's a fun fold card. I think they call it a gatefold. Okay, let's get started. All of the measurements and materials required will be listed below. Just push on that little arrow and they should come up. This card has a normal size 8.5 by 5.5 card base, but you fold it slightly different. You score it at 2 1/8 on each side and then fold it. And the way I do that is fold the first one, and then even though I've scored the other one, I kind of just push it in and make sure that it matches exactly my other side. And then I take my bone folder and burnish the fold. Now, from my experience, these cards don't exactly lay flat sometimes, but what you can do is after you're finished, put it in a book or put a book on it, and I think after it was in an envelope, I think it would lay pretty flat anyway. So next thing we're going to do is some stamping. We need the very vintage stamp set. We're going to need the rectangular stitched framelits, and for ink we're going to need Blushing Bride and Crumb Cake. Okay, so first we're going to be stamping with our Crumb Cake. This is the inside of the card. This is the piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to take this long stamp from the very vintage set. I'm going to ink it up in Crumb Cake. I'm just going to stamp that at the bottom here. There we go. Next, I'm going to do the envelope. I'm just going to take that, and in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to stamp the little fly that comes in the set. Okay, then I think I'll stamp our focal image and give it a little time to dry because we're going to color it in a little bit. And I'm going to stamp it kind of in the middle towards the top. I'm going to lay that aside so that that ink can dry. Next, I'm going to take our little piece for our sentiment. I'm going to ink that up also in Crumb Cake and put it kind of in the middle. Then we're going to take our 2 Crumb Cake pieces and we're going to take that lacy design and we're going to stamp all over them. So I'm going to stamp off, then stamp on. And I'm going to do that all over. Next, we're going to do some coloring, and to do that, I'm going to take my Blushing Bride ink. I'm going to take a clear block, and I'm going to just pat my ink onto the clear block. Then I'm going to take a blender pen, and I am going to color in the flowers that I want to color. And I'm not going to color them in solidly. I'm just going to give them a hint of color. So you'll see white and you'll see brown, and I just think it gives it a very vintagey look, and plus it's really easy to do. Then because just coloring the big flowers didn't look like enough to me, I'm going to just color in the petals of these little flowers down here too. You could color in everything. I mean, the Morning Glories would probably be pretty and blue and whatever, but I wanted a very subtle look, and I think that's what I got, doing it this way. And that's it for our coloring. You might wonder why I put so much color on this block. It's because I'm going to do something else with it also. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more color. I'm going to add some water. I'm going to mix it all up with a paintbrush. And I didn't have any Blushing Bride ribbon, so I took this powder pink ribbon and I'm just going to give it a little of the Blushing Bride color. Now, if you don't have any ribbon and you don't have, or if you have white, you think you could do it with white, or if you don't have any ribbon at all, you could just use a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock that was around, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or so. I tried that and I liked it. I tried the powder pink ribbon because I thought it wasn't that far off. But I just didn't like, it was too light for me. And then I tried the cardstock and it was okay, but I just thought I really want Blushing Bride ribbon, so I decided to make my own. Anyway, when you finished that, it's a little messy, put it to the side and then just take a baby wipe or something and clean off your block. Chamois do it too. And you've made your own custom ribbon. Next, we have a little big shot work to do. We're going to take our focal image and we're going to cut that out with the, I think it's the 5th smallest of the rectangles. And then we're going to use the, well, from the outside. Okay, we're going 1, 2, 3. It's 4th from the outside. We're going to use that to cut our focal image. And then to cut our matting piece in Blushing Bride, we're going to use the 3rd from the largest. And to cut our sentiment out, we're going to use the smallest of this set of rectangles. But I have a little trick to show you on that because I don't want a sentiment that's this long. I want a sentiment that's just about this long. So anyway, normally I don't show you my big shot work, but today I think I'm gonna have to do that. So here come my plates. I have made my magnetic base plate and I'm going to take and put the Blushing Bride layer on. And I put it at a little bit of an angle because for some reason I think it's got something to do with surface, something. But if you put it at an angle, it cuts very much easier than if you put it on going straight, so it cuts straight along that edge. And then I'm going to take this dear friend and I'm going to decide where I want it to be cut at this end, and I'm going to tape it with some tape and run both of those through. You add your top plate, and then I'm going to run both of those through, and I'll be right back. Okay, done with that one. This time I'm going to take my focal image, run that through, also at an angle. But with this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different because like I said, I don't want it that long. I'm going to take this image and I'm going to put it back in the die where I want it to cut, and then I'm going to attach some tape again, but this time I'm only going to run it the very edge with both plates. So I'm going to take my plate, put it on like right like that, and then run it through. Then you can see we have our lovely stitching all around, but it's the size I want it to be. So just a little trick that comes in handy. Okay, it looks like everything's dry here, so we'll go ahead and assemble our card. See, one more thing we have to do before we assemble is, because I'm making it a vintage card, I like my vintage to be a little distressed or at least a little kind of messy. So I'm going to take the Crumb Cake ink again and a sponge dauber, and I'm going to ink all my edges. I'm going to ink our little sentiment also. The 2 Crumb Cake pieces. Takes a little time to do all this inking, but I think it really adds to the vintagey look. Okay, now it's time to assemble. First I'll do the inside. Put that down on the inside of the card. There. Next we're going to take our little Crumb Cake pieces, and I'm going to take that ribbon and cut it in half. I had about a foot there, so we only need about half of that. And I have about a foot of the lace also. Okay, so we're going to attach our lace with glue dots. I'm going to take it and put the lace right on the glue dot on that inner edge. It's okay if the glue dot sticks out a little bit. It's going to be covered by the ribbon. You just don't want it towards the middle. You want it towards the outside. Maybe just put like 3 of these on. Then you're going to lay your crumb cake piece on your grid paper, and you're going to put it along one of the lines and then go up a 1/2 inch with that lace edge and lay it down. That way it's straight. And then you're going to take your piece of ribbon and you're going to take your snail and just run it all along the ribbon. You could do this on a silicone mat if you want to be sure you don't get any snail somewhere you don't want it, but it works just on their grid paper. Then you replace your crumb cake right along that line, and you put your ribbon right along the 1/4 inch line all the way across. And you're perfectly lined up, and then you just turn it over and take some tape and fasten down each end on the back. Then you do exactly the same thing for the other side. Okay, then we'll take our card base and we'll put one of these on each side with glue, and be sure to get the glue right up to the edge because you really want these to lay down flat. As you put this one down, it's a good idea to close the card and be sure the 2 crumb cake pieces kind of match up. And we'll turn it over and really give it a good press. Okay, next we attach our stamped image to our blushing bride layer, and then we're going to attach it to the front of the card. We're going to attach on the left-hand side only. You can either do it with just glue and put it down flat, but I kind of decided I like the dimensional look better, so I'm going to do it with dimensionals. And I find the easiest way to do that is to decide where you're going to want it approximately. Remember, you need to leave room for your sentiment down here. So you want it towards the top. I think right about there is good. And then I'm going to remove my image and I'm going to put a dimensional right up there on this side of the card. And put another one kind of where the middle will be. And then let's see where the bottom's going to go. Bottom's going to go out here. So let's put another one down there. And then we're going to put dimensionals on the left side of our image. And it's a fairly large image. We don't want it to sag, so I'm going to put some in here too. I'm going to take off all of our little backings. Then we're going to take our card and carefully line up our image in the middle towards the top. I think that looks pretty good. You've decided it's where you want it, then go ahead and press it down. Then for our little sentiment, I'm going to take, this side is already kind of raised because of all of the lace and the ribbon, so I'm going to put a dimensional on the right side, and I'm just going to put some glue on the left side. Actually, it's a 1/2 dimensional. You could use a mini, but I just cut one in half. Then we're going to place that right down here. And to finish up our vintage card, we're going to take some pearls and put one down here, one over here, and one right here. And that's our card. This is the card we just made, lifted up on dimensionals. I also have one that was just done flat. It's good too. And then I have one that I did using the Blushing Bride cardstock instead of the ribbon. I like the ribbon a little better, but they're all equally pretty. If you enjoyed this card, please give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe to our channel. If you would like to purchase the materials necessary to make this card, please go to marciascrafts.stampinup.net. We would love your business. That's it for today. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.